It's time to get sexy on Secular Sexuality. Oh yeah.
I never get tired of
Voice
that intro.
itself
How's it
here
going, boys
in
and
the
girls?
studio.
Oh yeah.
Eric Murphy, Wolfman Jack,
The voice.
the voice
intro.
of secular sexuality.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I'm really, really happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Absolutely. Do you think we could keep any viewership if we continued the entire show like this?
I'm
Not so much?
thinking-
No.
No, no,
Okay.
no.
All right. Apologies for that voice. I'm done. I apologize.
So-
Howdy as always.
Hey, and welcome to Secular Sexuality. I'm Megan Bonner. Joining me, of course, is...
Hey, I'm Christy Powell.
And returning host, guest host is...
Eric Murphy. If you have no idea who I am, I'm on Talk Heathen, one of the sister shows of Secular Sexuality, and a proud member of the ACA. Thank you so much.
And employee.
And
Oh.
employee, I'm the director of communications. That's right.
Well, hello.
Hello, hello. So, you brought me on last time so that we can talk about
Depressing
child
shit.
abuse in the Catholic Church, and I was sad for days.
Yeah, and we promised you that we would
Yeah.
only bring you back if we had a light, uplifting, upbeat topic. And so Megan
you're
recommended...
if you're catfishing me, let me tell you right now, I'm walking. I'm walking. Okay, what is
You're
it?
already
No.
plugged in. Your mic is stuck. You're here. So
We haven't
let's
technically
talk about
taped him to the
female
chair
genital
yet.
mutilation.
Oh!
Peace!
No, actually, today's topic is not FGM. Today's topic is dating in an online world. Yes. And so we're going to go over our experiences with online dating and, or dating in general, because one hopefully leads to the other sometimes. And then we're going to kind of change it up this week. We're going to take some calls, then chat a bit, take some calls, chat a bit. And hopefully that'll help kind of with the callers so you guys don't have to wait so long.
So call in. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, please.
If people want to call in, what number should they call?
The one on the screen.
Are you saying they
There it
should
is.
call 512-686-0279? That's
That's
Yes.
the one.
512-686-0279. There are lines open for you now.
You lost your calling. FM radio is dying, and you could have saved it. You could have saved it, Eric.
Wait, FM, why not AM?
That died
Lost cause.
earlier.
Lost
Yeah.
cause. Yeah. So, have y'all actually done much online dating? Because I got to say, I didn't date at all through high school, college. I mean,
Yeah.
I met a lovely lady at the age of 15, and then we just kind of locked that in for 12 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a whole lot of, these newfangled apps and all of these things when I was coming up. And then I sort of hit the ground running at like 26, and I was like, "How does one Tinders?
Yep.
Which
Or
swiping
Grindr.
is the I would like to sex with you
Yep.
swipe?"
Oh, dude, right there with you, man. So I actually was in a relationship from 18 until 29. And oh my
get it.
goodness, yeah, I do, and it's wild because you're trying to figure it out, and I did not know the difference between Tinder and Grindr.
Distinct difference.
I learned that.
Very big difference.
I
Very
learned that.
strategically
Yes.
important information.
Absolutely.
To the 5.5 of you that are still scratching your head, I should just say that Tinder initially was very much a hookup app. Primarily for straight folks. It
Yep.
was basically, in its initial conception, there is a lovely person near you who wants to have sex, and you're near a lovely person who wants to have sex. Let's match up. Let's do it.
And if you both swipe right, then it connects.
Then it's on. And it was always like very, very closely proximal in the sense that it was like within a mile or so.
Yes.
And it was very much a hookup app. And I think that that's largely not true anymore. We can get into that here in a little bit. Grindr, however...
Grindr is very, very intense when it comes to location because it lets you know when you sign in, when you log in, that, it is...
Within walking distance
Jacob
or GTFO.
is like 520 feet away.
His hand is already in the back of your
Want
pants.
to fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
basically
how
what
did
Tinder
some of
would
those
be if there
meetings
weren't
go?
any women allowed.
Well, yeah.
Not to overly stereotype
mean-
our sexualities, but men do generally feel a little more comfortable with hookup culture. And so when you subtract the women out of that situation, it's a lot of hooking up.
Yeah. And I think I got more messages in the time it took me to figure out what I had done wrong than I got in the entire time that I had dating profiles the rest of the time that I was single. But that's spoilers. I think we're going to talk about the rest of that a little later.
Yes. I know I have had some experience with online dating, starting way back when it was safe to do it on Craigslist. Oh my God, that's taking me back.
R.I.P. Craigslist personal ads, by the way.
Yeah.
We miss you, buddy.
Yes.
We miss you.
Do you like pina coladas?
And getting caught in the rain. I mean, they're yummy, but then moving from there, I tried a couple other ones back when actually Yahoo had.
Wow.
The cheaper, the better.
We are the oldest millennials
We've
that
got
can
a-
be still
yeah.
millennials because we're all like hip about the online dating, but like the old online dating.
And then,
Right.
I was off the market for 7 years, and now I'm back into the online dating thing, and it's a little weird.
It is weird. I mean, I remember like I was on Tinder. I was like, how do I get my competitive edge, right? Like, how do I set myself apart? And you got to have an Instagram, right? Because your Tinder profile connects to your Instagram. So you got to, more than just like your 5 Tinder pictures, you got to have a really sexy Instagram. So I set up Instagram exclusively for that reason. You can follow me now. It's there just because initially I wanted to meet somebody.
I must
Somebody.
be the most like social media disconnected millennial ever, because
Yeah,
I don't get on that.
I
stuff.
downloaded Snapchat, Instagram, all of these things because I
Just to
wanted
get just to hook up.
date people in their 20s. And as somebody who is in their 20s, I was like, I guess this is how you do it.
I did the exact same thing. So wait,
Right?
are you saying that if somebody follows you on Instagram, if they go back far enough, they'll find pictures of you just grinding on random things?
I mean, there's a lot of like
Like some sexy
this
firemen.
pose, a lot
Oh,
of,
yeah.
I'm just here, just casually. I didn't curate this picture.
I mean,
this
it's
was
hot.
just
I had to take
just
my
a
shirt off.
candid shot, and I
Yeah.
just happened to, absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
It's a completely different thing when that happens with a woman and the picture gets taken.
It really is. It really is. Gender differences in online dating are absolutely overwhelming. I mean, the number of messages that women tend to receive, I mean, it's
for the love of
10 to
fucking
1.
God.
It's easily 10 to 1.
Okay, hold on. I've got to push back on that just a little bit because I swiped a lot, and there are a lot of pictures of women in similarly,
Undress.
levels of
Undress. Distress? Undress.
I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, let's be realistic here. All right.
Well, I mean, you got to bring the boys to the yard one way or another.
Yeah, and I'm sure you guys are going to give me some wonderful shit about that later when we go over our dating profiles.
Wait. Oh yeah. They made me resurrect my old dating profile. And they're going to go over it on the air. Stay tuned.
Yes, all of us. Any interesting experiences with online dating?
I mean, being new to it, I didn't know what to say or do. And specifically, I got into online dating because I wanted to meet a very particular type of person. As a poly person, it's difficult to find somebody who's specifically looking for that. So you're unlikely to do so at a random bar. If you walk up to somebody that you happen to find very symmetrical, the odds of them actually checking those boxes and wanting some queer guy with painted fingernails that's polyamorous and all of that, it's just not super high. So in order to meet my people, I got online, and man, it can be a shit show. Met some lovely people.
Yeah.
Met some real interesting stories.
Doozies?
Yeah, no question.
Yeah, so how about you? Any interesting experiences?
Well,
I mean, we'll get
okay.
into like the
So-
bad stories later, but
yeah, I mean, it was definitely learning a lot about, let me preface this by saying that I asked for a lot of advice and did a lot of research. And it became more and more depressing the further I went down that rabbit hole. Because what it winds up becoming for guys is a numbers game.
Yeah.
And so basically you need to get volumes of messages out. And this is not a spoiler about that. But I will tell you that when I first went on to online dating, I poured my heart out in this huge thing about myself. And I mean, I just put it all out there. And then I would look and I would like, you know, I'd see a girl and I'd look at the pictures and then I'd read and then I'd write her this long thing. You know, it was just like, oh, you seem really nice and all. And I was scaring the shit out of people.
It's like, P.S. I'm definitely a serial killer.
Yeah.
Because I just wrote a 2-page essay to a rando.
Yeah, no. And I did that for quite a while. And wondered why nobody ever messaged me back. It was, I put a lot into that. I didn't realize that subtext was there, and I wish somebody would have told me.
Oh, yeah, and that experience is not just anecdotal. I mean, there is absolutely research to back that up. There's an incredible book, Dataclysm, I've mentioned on the show before, from the CTO and co-founder of OkCupid, where he compares like the ratio of messages that guys send to women and women respond to and women send to guys and all these comparisons. And then also charts out like the length of message versus the likelihood of response. Anything over like 500 characters, she's not going to read it because she's already gotten 10,000 other messages today. So if you are a straight man seeking a woman, that's just not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, I'll say I can only say I'm sorry, guys, that you guys don't get as many messages because, and at the same time, no, you're lucky because, oh my God, it's depressing and annoying and
it's
overwhelming.
Stressful. Every woman I've dated who's been on an online dating app has had the most terrifying stories of creepo guys. But in addition to that, she can't turn on her phone without having 37 different notifications.
Holy crap.
I mean, that's really not an exaggeration. I sincerely mean,
Okay, so
37 wasn't like a random number.
No,
It's high.
So when you turn on your dating app,
Yeah.
there's like 25 guys going, do you want this dick? Like, just...
I mean, maybe
Like-
not in those exact words, but yeah.
But
Really?
often in those exact words.
Holy crap.
And, you know, it tells you, like, every time. So I had to turn off notifications because every right swipe had a notification, every message had a notification, everything had a notification. And
Basically, that thing that you and I are hoping for, that we'll swipe on somebody and then it'll pop up and say, "Ha, ta-da! Like, they also like you." Every person she swiped on, she had that experience.
Does that happen? I never... No, sorry, go ahead.
Is that what dating apps are for? Eventually, you get like a
Something
match?
changes, yeah.
well, and I don't know what the median ratio is, but I know I think in like 2 days had like 600 right swipes, and it was just in like several hundred messages, and it was just like I turned the fucker off.
Yeah, I 1,000% believe that. I mean, Megan, you missed, I'm sorry, you were here. I apologize. When we had Lily Bacon on, and she spoke about how, you know, it takes a little bit of maturity and growth and learning to recognize that you don't have to be obligated to everybody who's ever swiped on you.
And I for
but
sure
man, was that
didn't.
stressful for me to hear.
Yeah.
It for sure did. I mean, there were plenty of people who did not get swipes back or even messaged back. Sorry, but it's still the sheer volume.
Sure.
Is just like ridiculous, and you finally go, nope, I am no longer horny. Let's turn this fucker off. Yep, done.
You close one app, you open up another, you take care of business, you go to bed.
I'm just thinking about, you know, optimizing this, right? So I would have a screen with scripts that I could copy paste.
Oh God.
And just plug scripts and go.
And man,
Right?
like every
You say
like
that.
feminist bone in me is like, man, like the men's rights movement and you know, the pickup artist stuff and all of that bullshit teaches you to do that, but data actually bears it out that is the most effective way, particularly for a guy seeking a
Oh,
woman.
no. I'm talking about as a woman in her position.
No,
I would
you
script
say
out,
that-
go fuck yourself, and just like,
or not the go fuck
cut and
yourself,
copy.
but
Yeah.
no, you say that jokingly, but I literally did like just
Yes!
copy. At one point, I
See,
copied
you
a
know what?
message and I just pasted
That's-
it into
that's-
like I'm like, you're cute. Okay, paste this one. Okay, you're kind of cute. Paste this one. Yeah.
Well, I mean, did you ever go out with any of these guys and horribly regret it? I know I have some like terrible first date stories.
Yes, although most of my horrible date stories have to do with people I met in person.
But we're going to go over horrible date stories after we take the first call. Right?
Yes.
We can, absolutely. We've got a few people on the line if you guys are
do.
ready to jump in.
Yep. And first, I think we are going to talk to Dan, Objectively Dan. Hey, Dan, you're on the line.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, pretty
Hey,
great. Glad to
good.
hear from you. I'm actually very excited. I loved Bohemian Rhapsody. Spoiler alert. Tell us what you called in about.
Yeah, for
forward.
sure. So I guess I should introduce myself. I am Objectively Dan. I'm another member of the ACA crew. I have my own show, Truth Wanted. You
That's
can
right.
watch on Friday
Yes,
nights
you
at
do.
6. Just plugging that in there for anybody who's interested. But anyway, I want to call into you guys because this is in your guys' domain. I recently watched the movie Bohemian Rhapsody with some members of my family over the Thanksgiving break. And
That was
spoiler
brave.
alert for those who haven't seen. Yeah, I know. Well, we were all big Queen fans growing up in the house,
okay.
but you know, spoiler alert to anybody who doesn't know, there's several scenes in that movie of men kissing. Freddie Mercury identified as a bisexual, apparently according to the movie, and they showed that aspect of his life. And to someone like us, who were running shows like we are, I mean, that's kind of okay. We kind of expect that, and it's not really a big deal. But
That's just
watching it
5%
in
of
that theater,
life. Yeah.
especially. Yeah, in the theater, though, especially with some members of my family, there was like this kind of ew and like and all these kind of comments that were being made and stuff. And it was really interesting to see these kinds of reactions. I thought, well, at first, why are you watching this movie about this gay man and expect, I mean, well, not gay, but bisexual. I mean, however he chooses to identify, and expect that, not to happen. I don't understand. I mean, that's a part of his life. But also, it was interesting to see that these were kind of the responses that people had. And I'm wondering, when people have those responses, is that a good time to talk to people about these kinds of maybe feelings of homophobia? Or is that when people are too hot? Is there a way to kind of approach people with those responses? Or like, is that something that it's kind of best to leave alone at the moment and maybe like kind of talk about later?
Well, I'll jump in real quick and say, if you talk about it at the moment, and if you're in a theater, you're probably going to get yelled at.
Right.
So maybe not
I don't
at
explicitly mean
the
in the
moment.
theater. Yeah,
Well,
but,
there's always
like,
that
I'm with my
thing. You
fa-
walk
I'm-
out to the car. What did you think of the movie? Like
Yeah.
that kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm with my family and stuff, and we're talking about the movie and those kinds of conversations are going on. Do you think like those are good times for people to kind of talk about these issues, or do you think that there's better times when it's not as fresh on people's minds? I mean, what are your guys' take on that? Because I know you guys have probably experienced something similar with friends before.
Yes. And I think for my non-professional opinion is that that is a good time to start that discussion because the discussion has already been started. You don't have to, cold open with, hey, so you guys remember like a week ago when we went to go see that movie
And
you guys
dudes
were talking
kissed?
about that? Yeah, I want to bring that back up now. So I think using that opportunity, since it's already there flat in front of you, is great. It also helps that the I don't want to say character, but the person who was the subject of their, gross out also happened to be somebody that they idolized in a way as well. And that is also a way, I think, to help guide the conversation of being like, well, you loved him for all of these things. What the fuck is wrong with this one aspect? and just how, because most
Yeah,
people.
it's Mike Pence going to see Hamilton and then being offended when the cast and crew are like, hey, we support gay people. And he's like, gay people in the theater?
For shame.
Yeah, I never. I got to piggyback on that because absolutely. Anytime that we look at major change, it never comes all at once, right? It always takes time. When we look at civil rights, it didn't just happen at a protest. It happened at millions of dinner tables over years. It happened, change like that happens when people are confronted with it multiple times. There are people who, say the same thing about religion. Well, when should I find the time to talk to people? And it's like the more exposure that they get, the more times that they get, the number one, the less you need to worry about making that the stand, but make it a time to inform, talk to, and then a piece at a time, over time, they'll be able to digest those things and be able to be more comfortable talking about those things. So yeah, anytime you find the time, absolutely. Just don't bury it, just like, I need to talk about this, sit down at the table.
Sure.
Yeah, I need you to walk away from this having a changed mind, because that's just not how people work.
Keep it light.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So I had this experience happen to me. These people kind of had this reaction to the movie. What would be your first response if you wanted to have these kinds of conversations? What would be your idea of kind of even starting that whole conversation?
Yeah, I think in contrast to these two a little bit, I would say that the movie is going to do more speaking than you can. Your family probably knows you. I mean, Dan, obviously you're on air, so they have had opportunity if they want it to hear your opinion on these issues.
Sure.
But even that aside, I mean, for anybody else listening, your family probably knows where you stand, and I don't know how eager they are to hear it from you again. Whereas, a movie like this, I mean, it's one thing when some Oscar darling, some independent picture like Moonlight last year comes up and exposes this beautiful part of humanity to a larger audience. But something like Bohemian Rhapsody, that's getting out there. I mean, people who loved Queen are going to see it without necessarily being prepared or forewarned. I mean, they had every opportunity, but they're not necessarily going into it thinking, well, this is going to be a queer film. And so I would say that letting the movie speak for itself, letting that be normalized, letting the fact that there's a major studio movie with a top-listed actor who is, in addition to likely getting serious awards consideration, is also making billions of dollars and going overseas and all of this, that is what is going to set the table at all of those dinner tables around the country that's going to change the debate. You getting into an argument is likely not. So I'm not saying that you should brush it under the rug or not talk about it, especially if there's a question. But I don't know how effectively you're going to change a mind by getting in somebody's face, even in a gentle or kind way. Yeah. It might be best off to just let people experience the film and then start to feel like they're in the minority if they're homophobic, if they're racist, if they're bigoted in these different ways.
See, yeah, that is a totally different direction.
Yeah.
If it's somebody that I know and they know me and they bring that up, I'm going to say, let's go to the gay bar. Like, let's go now.
Let's do it.
I'm down to go,
Yeah.
So.
I have actually had this experience. Granted, it's been a long time, and I'm not going to say with who, but they have since changed their tune. But I remember asking them saying, oh my God, I mean, I guess it's okay what they do in private, but do we have to watch it? And me...
Yeah, isn't that about a bitch?
And my question was, well, you don't mind seeing a guy and a girl on screen kissing and, depending rated R movies, doing other stuff.
Or let alone shooting each other, raping each other, murdering each other. All of that is acceptable on film.
And, so what's so wrong about this? And kind of let them try and reason their way out of it, because if they enjoyed otherwise, apart from that scene, if they enjoy the movie, then, hearing them try to justify, sometimes they will talk themselves in circles and they'll realize that and they'll be like, well, just never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all good points. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't talk about it by any means, or provide information, provide kind education, and also stand up against any form of like outright bigotry. Absolutely. But for this particular movie, my dad is a huge Queen fan, and so we just sort of both enjoyed the fact that we both liked the movie. And I feel like, if anything, that's moving him further down the road than yet another lecture from his sanctimonious son. And maybe I just say that because I'm prone to being an asshole, and you guys are lovely and delightful, and your parents love to hear from you.
Well, so that just makes me think
it
of,
was
in
it
Emmanuel.
was an interesting time afterwards. I'll say that.
In A Manual for Creating Atheists, when they talk about having conversations with people and changing their minds, micro inoculations, and you're an SE guy, you know that terminology. I would say that very much applies. It's a death by many cuts often, and so yeah, I would agree, absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you guys. I really just wanted to get your take on all that, because I know, I like to have these kinds of conversations with people, and I'm pretty confident about it, but I thought, this is something that these guys might have even more experience talking about. So I'm glad I got to hear you guys' opinion.
Yeah, of course. We look forward to the next time we get to see you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess I'll be signing off now, but thanks again, guys.
Yeah, appreciate
Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow on Truth Wanted.
Yeah, for sure. and hey, I wouldn't mind coming on Secular Sexuality sometime. Just putting that out there.
We'll see what we can fit in. Sounds like a plan.
Secular.
All right, guys. You take care.
Okay, bye.
That's low-hanging fruit. I'm not going to make the fitting
the single
joke.
entendre is.
Yeah.
We need like a buzzer for that on this show.
Like every time somebody
like the very just lazy entendre.
Yeah, it was a lazy joke. All right.
That being said, though, I would encourage anybody. It's still in theaters. Rami Malek does an incredible job. Bohemian Rhapsody, good film. Check it out. Bring your family if you dare.
So, did you guys want to take one more call, or
Yeah,
did you
absolutely.
want to move to our stories?
Well, I mean, those are hot on the press, but I do have to say, I believe Joel has been on for a while.
Joel, I believe.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Thanks for hanging on.
Can you listen to me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, great.
What would you like to talk about?
What's that?
I've been, this is it's a kind of thing that's been going back and forth in my life. That I've been questioning if I might be agender or genderless. If I might have changed gender along life, since my zucchini is a romantic lingo. So my zucchini, my partner, quote unquote, is gender fluid. So I think I can say I'm quite familiar with what changing one's gender means. So that's the kind of thing that I've been struggling with.
Is trying to grasp the concept of gender fluidity?
Oh no, it's question if it's fair for me to say that I'm unsure of whether or not I have a gender, or if I'm really genderless or agender, as some people say.
Okay.
I've been thinking if it's something like I never saw the word agender and thought, hey, that's me. But I never seen any other gender and thought, hey, that's me. I'm wondering if that's what being gender feels like or not. That's what the tough part, the obstacle I'm not going through.
Right. And I think it's important, at least on this show, we don't look at gender as boxes that someone fits into. We look at it as a very wide spectrum. And I don't like to say that, male, female is kind of the terms that we assign to different ends of the spectrum. That doesn't mean, though, that you can't be somewhere completely in the middle or slightly to one side or slightly to the other. These are just labels that we have given certain characteristics. But whatever you want to identify as, that is who you are. That is what you are.
Yeah, I mean, to put it into kind of nerd terms, the bimodal bell curve is kind of the best way of looking at it, right? That it's not just that everybody is more or less in the middle and some people are on the tails, but that there are more closely two primary aspects. Most folks are going to be mostly in the middle of either being male or female, man or woman, but those tails never actually touch the end of the line, which is
they just touch each other.
Right.
They just come back around to the...
Yeah, which is kind of a overly complicated way of saying that there is no one specific gender, that there's not two specific genders. I made the comment on this show before that there is a different gender for every person on the planet, that there's some 7 billion odd genders. And I know that got a lot of pushback, and I actually would challenge anybody to do the homework and to read about it and to recognize that I really stand by that comment. That being said, when it comes to understanding your own gender, there are two things I would encourage you to remember. One is that it matters, but it doesn't. As somebody who has been ostracized and criticized, I feel like I've worked really hard for my identity, for my labels, for my adjectives. They're very important to me, and I wouldn't listen to anybody who tells me that they don't matter. At the same time, they matter because I say that they matter. Nobody gets to tell me how important they are, what they should be, how meaningful they are. And if I feel like, switching, not necessarily that it's a choice necessarily to just pivot, but that I do have some flexibility, some fluidity to that, and that's okay. So the most important thing is remembering that it matters, but only to you, only to the degree that it matters to you. And then the second thing is that get thee to a library, read a book, find some great materials about these topics, because there's no short answer for you. It's going to take a lot of experiencing 10,000 different options before you start to go, well, that's definitely not it, and that's definitely not it. That seems kind of right, but the more I look at it, less and less, and okay, so this is it over here. And one place I would encourage you to start is Understanding Your Gender by Meg John Barker. It's a great book I've recommended on the show before and worth checking out. But ultimately, it's up to you. It's a journey that you can either take or not take. If you want to go and learn about astrophysics or about how to crochet or how to bake a great pie, you go out and do that exact thing. If you want to learn to understand your gender, that's a choice that you're making. It's not necessarily an obligation. You do have permission to just say, I will never understand, all of Stephen Hawking's work. And that's okay. You may not ever fully grasp or wrestle with your gender, but if you choose to, I think that it's a noble pursuit and something worth looking into.
I feel so uninformed now. I mean, really. I got to say, one of the things, Jewel, that really kind of made me think was the way I understood, male, female, gender fluid, and those different choices, was that what you were doing was picking, what you wanted out of what is available. But it sounds like what you're describing is picking nothing, and I don't even know what that looks like, because if we live in a society that has genderized freaking everything, then at that point, I mean, even our language gets to a point that's gendered.
Our language, our duct tape, our handguns,
everything.
Our hammers, everything comes in pink or blue or camo or, these stereotypically gendered things.
And so I guess now I have questions for both of you. because what if, I'm not going to take, however many years of classes to understand this, but I consider myself male. But at the same time, I enjoy things and definitely have some characteristics that are not classically viewed as male. And so I don't feel like I need to take a different title. So it's self-applied. And if it's self-applied, then are there 10,000 genders, or is that just a nice way of saying it's a spectrum? You can pick any single point along an infinite line and claim that as yours, because it doesn't sound like there's any definitive, and they don't have their own names, right? Me, I am, self is where you wind up, and in that way, there's just as much as there are people. But am I wrong about that? Like, dude, I am bursting with questions now.
I think you're getting close.
For sure. I mean, and I don't want to get
like
away
musicals,
from
and
Joel and his
you.
question, but
Okay.
I think I would ask you, what genre of band is Queen?
Rock and roll.
Okay, so but AC/DC is rock and roll.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. It's Queen.
But are Queen and AC/DC the same genre?
Fuck.
I mean, kind of, but
they're
kind of not.
Again, it's we create boxes so that we can put labels on them and categorize all the things in the world.
And those adjectives
And
are valuable
yes.
because you're not going to hear Queen on the same station as like an actual opera station.
Right.
Actually, you'd be wrong.
Well,
Freddie
okay.
Mercury wrote an
Well,
opera, and it
okay,
was fucking
we're not-
amazing. Obviously, you gotta.
Anyway.
That's right, dude.
But you would hear AC/DC on the same classic rock.
You would not hear AC/DC on the
station with
same
Queen.
as
Yeah.
classical with Bach and Chopin.
Right, exactly. And so, what genre do they fit? We use these adjectives to vaguely describe, and there's value in that because it does help to categorize. And I like to identify as a guy that has value for me, but not 100%, 1,000 accurate,
Maybe. I don't know. Because if you're the one who's defining it, then it is 100,000% accurate.
Well, then let me
Isn't
ask
it?
you both this. You both identify as male, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you pick that? Or was that assigned to you and you just learned to accept that that is what you are?
That's what I was always told I am, and I was raised with expectations to meet certain criteria, some of which I met, some of which I didn't, but I don't consider myself less of a man for not meeting.
Raised into a particular religion and you accepted it more or less without challenge, and then at a certain age you decided that, okay, this actually does not fit me, this does not suit me, this is not accurate, this is not my worldview.
But while there are taboos, there's no definitive list. Is there? Is that in one of the books that I need to read? Is there a definitive, this is male? Like, it feels like those are the kinds of books that would do the opposite of that.
Well, and I also feel...
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
I also feel that this is a topic we will discuss again
And
regularly.
Yeah.
Yes, we have discussed as our main topic, and we'll discuss again as a main topic, I think, semi-regularly.
Absolutely.
Because this is a topic that I know we and Serafina especially are very passionate about. And we kind of have a general idea of kind of some educational information that we can share in the future.
I adore Serafina.
She's
absolutely love
awesome.
her.
Yeah,
I want to hang out with her.
I want to say it was episode 5. I'm sure you can find it in the YouTube backlog. But Serafina with Michelle Ogerzalik, we spent an entire hour and a half really diving into these types of questions, and so I think that that's an interesting place to start. I hope that we have at least tiptoed around an answer to your question, even if we all are sort of sitting here going,
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I think it's only fair that there is no short answer. I never give short answers when people ask me things. Like when people ask me what's a continent, I'm not able to give a short answer. So it's fair that there's no short answer for what my gender is, if there is any gender I identify with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's...
And two things you mentioned that I like to just talk to mention. When you said the bi something, what about the ends and everything? I forgot. Bimodal something.
yeah, a bimodal bell curve. I mean, just type that into your Google image search and you will see what I'm talking about. I recognize that it's kind of a nerdy way of describing things and not terribly well suited to a pseudo-visual medium, but it's worth typing into your Google device and taking a look at, because it is a good way of describing it.
Yeah, to be fair, I use the word zucchini, which probably no one knows about. So
I think
but
we
that
got it.
I think the person who needs to understand that understands that.
that reminded me that I have this Facebook page where I talk about asexuality mostly, and I talk a lot about gender there as well. And I try to abstract this gender idea as like a multi-dimensional graph.
Yep.
There are a
Like
lot
a
of different
graph.
components, and Serafina's presentation brings that out really clearly.
Yeah.
So I would again encourage you to check that out because I think it's a much more thorough answer than we could ever give here.
Joel, you need to come to Austin, and I need to pick your brain.
Right?
Yeah. I'm curious. I want to know. I need to know more. But hopefully this conversation
Helped.
helped.
Well, yeah, okay. I think it was. I'll look into the book you mentioned.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. It's terribly well written and super effective.
And for those again, what was the name of the book?
How to Understand Your Gender by Meg John, MEG-JOHN. Meg John, I believe. Meg John Barker.
But can you tell us in your sexy voice?
Meg John Barker.
Oh, man, I got chills. All right.
That's not what I got. Well,
Yeah,
Joel,
I really hope the book's good with it because I've already asked about what being gender feels like, and like I feel subreddits and Telegram groups, and most people just say they found out they're neither male nor female and just go with genderqueer and don't look into it as deeply as I wish to.
Yeah.
So that's why I called it. I want again, a not short answer.
Yeah. It's a long journey if you choose to go on it, and it's a very noble one, and I think it can be really illuminating. So we wish you the best of luck as you're looking to figure that out. Remember, the games are made up, the points don't matter, and you'll never win, but you can enjoy yourself as you go.
And
so
maybe learn a bit
we wish you
about
the best
yourself.
of luck. Absolutely.
well, thank you, Joel.
That's great advice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That sounds like a terrible game.
Where
Nobody
it's
wins.
made up and the points don't matter.
Yeah, I mean that's like
Jamie
that's
would-
like war
Jamie would
games,
just
right?
freak.
The best way is not to play. I mean, I'm sorry. I was watching Deanna Torres in the live chat, who was making a really, really great point. Who had said that she got her undergrad in women's studies, and gender is just our attempt to categorize and doesn't matter any more than we let it. It's not a real thing, basically. And she goes on to say that gender is basically just how we express our personalities. So it's unique to each individual and doesn't need to be divided into labels. Also, she wants to point out that she doesn't think making more labels is the answer. And so, the fuck? How are we gonna?
It's that circular sliding scale. There is no beginning, there is no end. It's just a big three-dimensional circular sliding scale.
Then I'm taking my ball and going home. All right.
Yeah, I mean, she's not wrong, and I certainly don't want to like categorically disagree because I don't. I think that she's very right, and at the same time, I am somebody who's sweated over my adjectives, and I really value them, and so I can appreciate the desire to do away with them entirely. But I also think that I'm going to be attracted to like this amount of the gender spectrum and not this side of the gender spectrum, and that there is some value in being able to broadly allow people to categorize and identify, because a lot of people do find a lot of strength in having something that describes them and being able to find their people, being able to find people who identify the way that they do. So, you know, if we were going to Sim City from the ground up and build a completely new society, I think that there's a lot of weight to her argument, and I hesitate to disagree with it in any meaningful way. At the same time, I know that for myself, these words are important.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, the words were created for a reason to begin with, and it wasn't for hate. It was so that Well, no, I'm talking about like way back when, as people were starting to try and differentiate,
between baby havers and baby not havers.
Yeah.
Because if we go back to like the archaic foundations of language, and before we're getting into societal institutional control,
right?
and
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like way
patriarchy and
before,
domination,
right?
and,
Yeah, the words help communicate ideas and thoughts, and to be able to categorize something and differentiate it from the rest. I think it just maybe got taken a little too far in the gender area.
Well, yeah, we started subjugating women so that men could pass down their lineage to the right person. It's very complicated, and there's a ton of bullshit along the road. But here we are now in 2018, trying to
Almost
enjoy our lives
2019.
and make the best of it.
Yeah, you make a very good point too. Maybe I'm just going to shut up about it because that's going to take the entire
Right?
show.
Yeah.
So what's the next?
You got some stuff to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the next thing that we got on the agenda?
Actually, I believe it is our dating horror stories.
Yeah. Oof. I don't know about y'all. I've had a couple of doozies. I feel like all of my friends had all these horror stories about online dating when I was like already old and married by the age of 22 and grumpy. And I always wanted to have like a best bad date story. And then when I did start dating again, man, I got those out of the way quick.
Yeah.
Like within the first year, I was just like, I can top your story. I can top your story.
All right, give it to us.
I feel mine is going to be very underwhelming now. All right, let's hear it.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to pick a best.
Mine, like, you can't really compare like women's horror stories to men's horror stories.
Yeah,
because it's
seriously,
slightly
we're
different,
both like in the lightweight,
but-
like featherweight division over here.
Maybe. Let's see. What do you got?
Yeah, so perhaps my favorite bad date story. I go on this Tinder date, and before I even get there, I'm like, why am I here? We don't have any chemistry. I don't want anything to do with this situation. But I am at this juncture in my life. I'm so lonely. I'm so convinced that I'm never gonna find anybody who could like me, and So I'm there. I'm ready for it.
You're like, fine, I'll do it.
Yeah, and she shows up, and it's clear within like the first 10 minutes that we have no chemistry, nothing in common, no business being together. But we're here, and we both have like 3/4 of a beer to finish. So, we're polite, and we're
And
finishing our
hopefully a
beers
condom that has not already been used.
Right, yes. Don't reuse your condoms.
That is incredibly optimistic.
Yeah, that's very
I mean,
optimistic.
wow.
It depends what app you're using.
Right?
Seriously, men and women's experiences are way different.
I like that you call it optimism, and she's like, God, I just hope it's still in its packaging, I guess.
Yes.
So anyway, we continue on, and I kind of feel like, she drove all the way out here. Like, I owe it to at least have like a second drink, to like give it like a good 45 minutes. Like anything short of that just feels rude. And so we stick around, and it's not that she isn't a lovely person. It's just clear that we are bouncing off of
chemistry.
each other. No chemistry whatsoever. And so I'm like looking at my watch, and I close out my tab after that second beer, and I'm like, I'm kind of ready to like politely find my exit strategy. And then she says, hey, should I go and get us another round?
Oh.
And I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? Go home and like rewatch reruns of The Office for the 10,000th time? Like, why not? Like, I'm having an okay time. Like, I guess I'll just stay here.
If you get drunk enough, beer goggles.
Right? So she goes to the bar, and she comes back with 2 beers and 6 tequila shots.
Yep.
I don't even know how she managed to get somebody to serve her 8 drinks, but she proceeds to hand herself a beer, hand me 2 tequila shots, which I did not ask for or agree to, and herself 4 tequila shots.
I mean, if that ever happens again, I'll take them for you.
Right? I appreciate that. I'll call you. And I'm
Dang.
like, I guess we're doing this? And I'm so, like, she caught me so off guard that I don't even think to myself I can say no. So when somebody hands me a tequila shot, I am prone to taking them.
Yeah.
And do they make your clothes fall off?
On occasion.
Okay.
On occasion. So anyway, to cut to the quick of it, in my, like, I've now taken 3 additional drinks that I was not planning to. She has taken 5 drinks in that same period of time. I'm like still reeling. She goes to get another beer, and I'm like starting to realize as the world is shrinking that I need to get out of here quickly. She comes back with a fresh beer and 2 more shots.
Damn.
And then she sits down, and what had been like a very casual, fun conversation turns into her going, "So one time in high school, I killed a man."
No.
And proceeds to tell me in graphic detail.
What?
Did you do
about
like the Wile E. Coyote?
Like I wanted to do like a spit take.
Yeah.
Proceeds to tell me about the time in high school where she was passed out drunk and a guy made a move on her and she woke up and killed him. Which, to be very clear, at least the way she told the story, justifiable homicide. She went to trial and she got off. It was self-defense. Fuck him for trying to take advantage of her, and good on her. I think her only real mistake in this story was telling me about it on a first date. But she proceeds to go into excruciating detail about this
murder.
This homicide, justifiable homicide that she committed 10 years previous.
Because that's how you turn somebody on.
And I'm just sitting there like trying to make the room not spin, trying to figure out how to get out of here.
Wait, how many tequila shots did you have at that point? How many beers?
At this point, I think we're at like drink 6 or 7, and I eventually am like, "Well, it was really nice meeting you. Thank you. Goodbye."
Please don't kill me.
I like walk out all drunk and confused and end up like just taking a walk around the block for a half an hour until I'm like not shaking enough that I can drive home. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's in my like top 5 worst first dates.
So I really cannot. I don't even want to tell my story now.
I've just broken the internet. I apologize.
That was wow.
If it makes you feel better, I can go next and then you can go third.
No, because yours tops us both. So
How do you know? You don't know this one.
oh, it's not the one I'm. Okay, never mind. You go ahead.
I mean, I have several. Okay, so one is when I was younger, before I was married, I was
Are we talking like 15 younger, 20 younger, 25 younger?
We're talking about
broadcast?
20.
About 20-ish, all right.
20-ish.
Back in her day.
Back in the early days of Megan.
The MySpace era. The dark times.
Yeah, well, no. It was a little after MySpace.
Post-MySpace,
It was
gotcha.
post-MySpace, early Facebook days. I had just got a Facebook account. Somebody at my work asked to go on a date. And at the time, I was so not interested, but agreed anyway because I was not the person I am today. So I did not know how to say no. So we went on this date. And it starts off, and as both of these gentlemen can tell you, I'm a very punctual person. If I say I'm going to be somewhere at a specific time, if nothing else, it's on the fucking minute.
Yep.
So we set a date and a time to meet and had his number. He had mine. It's like 10 till, and I'm literally pulling in the parking lot, and he texts me and goes, I'm here, where are you? Okay, that should have like triggered something, but it didn't.
Mm-hmm. Where you at, bitch?
Basically.
Where you at?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we get into the restaurant, and I was still in Southern Ohio, so just, you know.
Oh, that's too close.
Ding,
Okay.
ding, 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 ding. And this guy personified that. And he proceeded over too long of a dinner to tell me about what he thought a woman's place was. A woman's place is in the home, in the kitchen, raising the babies, cooking the food, having dinner on the table when he got home, not having a life, not having a career, because, you know, that's fine for some women, but, you know, that wasn't what he was looking for. So, I have not ghosted many men in my life. He got ghosted. By the end of it was so bad. Like he got into intricate detail, and I'm not going to get into intricate detail because that's
About
just
what
ridiculous.
a woman is supposed to be? About
Yes,
like
about what a woman is supposed to do.
how
and
often she's supposed to cook a roast and
it got pretty graphic. Anyway, by the end, the waitress comes around and asks, "Do we want dessert?" And I'm thinking,
Get me out of here.
get me out of here. This guy orders dessert for me.
orders for you.
Yes.
Wow.
Orders the dessert for me.
And the lady will have.
Yes. And after all is said and done, the check comes, or the waitress comes up to do the check, and she says, "So will this be one check or two?" And I said, "Two." And the guy goes, "No, one." And I sat for a second, I thought, and I was like, "Okay, sure. Yeah. One is good, because you're never going to see me again." That was bad date.
You mean that you let him pay for your dinner and you didn't even have the decency to put out?
I did not fuck him, no.
That is bullshit, Megan.
I know, right? And nor did
feel
I
like I need an
marry
adult.
him and stay with him and cook him dinners and have his babies. No. That was...
He probably didn't need to be dating a social justice warrior like you anyway.
No, even back then it was on the inside, but it was there. But no, that's probably top 5, but there's some others up there.
All right. All right. So mine is a cringe fest. Like it is just wall-to-wall cringe.
Ooh.
So before you think about touching that dial, we're still going to be bringing up, we resurrected our old dating profiles. So it's worth it.
Stay tuned.
But no, I remember here's the thing. I lived out in the middle of nowhere, right? When I moved to Texas, I lived 2 miles down a dirt road from my own mailbox. I was nowhere, right? So you needed to set those search parameters real wide to catch anyone, right? And I remember I got catfished a little bit, because it wasn't her, it was her sister who was in the back of the picture.
Oh!
Yeah! Not cool. Super not cool. But here's the thing. I'm skipping ahead.
Okay.
Because she said, "Well, I don't really have a vehicle. Can you pick me up?" And I was like, I mean...
And also, I'm 14?
I haven't dated in a long time. No, she was in her mid-20s.
Okay.
Right? Like, she was like 25? Something like that, right? But so I'm like, okay, no problem, right? I'm looking for a place to take someone on a date, in the nearest place within half an hour, and it's at the far end of the half hour, is a country music dance hall. And so I'm like, okay, we're going to go two-stepping, I guess. And so she sends me her address.
Both types of music. Country
and Western. That's right. That's right. Yes, they did. But so she sends me her address. She's my neighbor.
Oh, boy.
It's a couple houses down. So I went and picked her up. And she wanted me to meet her family. It was weird.
Oh.
It was real weird. It was real weird. And then the awkward drive to the dance hall was real weird, because what do you say to somebody who...
Yeah, and if the date doesn't go well, you're both just like, okay, I guess we'll awkwardly drive home and then live next to each other forever.
It continues to be awkward, right? It continues, because we get there, and that night that they were supposed to be open, they were not open, right? They hadn't posted anywhere that there was a special event going on. And so we're like, well, I mean, do I take you back and drop you off? Because there's literally nothing else to do.
And we're getting along so well.
Right? But no, she goes, how do I know you're not a psycho killer? And it's like, okay, first, I'm your neighbor. You know where to find me. But no, she insists on taking a picture of my driver's license to send it to her family, just in case she goes missing.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, no, it was real weird, and it just continues. It is just this domino effect of things just swing and a miss, And by the end of it, like, I was like, I cannot. This needs to be over. Oh gosh, this needs to be over. And she thought it went great. She was waiting for this next date. And I did the fadeaway.
That's the absolute worst when the date is objectively terrible and you're the only one who thinks so.
Yeah. I mean, there were other dates, but this was wall-to-wall cringe. I mean, this was...
Wait, you had more dates with her?
One was enough for a lifetime.
Oh, okay.
But
I was
this
gonna
entire date really was from the very moment it began till the moment it ended. It was cringe. And yeah, my family still sees her family, and it's real weird.
Oh, boy. All right.
It's real weird.
Yeah, small town dating. It's a special brand.
Well, actually, when I talk about that tiny, tiny town that I was from, you're from the same town.
Oh, no. Okay, I did know that. Yep.
You're from the same town.
There's a decent chance I've gone out on a date with this woman, too.
Yeah. It's that
We'll
small
have
of
to
a town.
compare notes off air. It's that small of a town.
Oh, yeah.
Mark,
Okay.
you ready to beep out?
Right?
I didn't take her. Jim T, I did not take her to Walmart
Oh, shit.
because there was not a Walmart nearby.
Yeah, people always talk about Walmart where like all
Where's
the
the
country
nearest
bumpkins
Walmart?
go,
Like an
and I
hour and a
kind of
half?
get that, but it's
Yeah.
it's a solid hour from where I grew up.
Yeah, like what? San Marcos?
Yeah, San Marcos.
Yeah, fuck that.
And it was the
Can I say
little
fuck?
one.
Yeah.
Yes, you can say fuck. on
Okay,
the show.
yeah.
Okay, so I think, are we ready for another caller?
Yeah.
Okay.
Save us.
Yes. Let's see here. How about John? Sorry, I'm having issues with the phone. John, you are on the air.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. What's up? What do you want to talk about?
Well, first of all, I just found out about you guys today.
Yay!
Thank you for joining us.
Like and
I think it's great
subscribe.
what you're doing.
Welcome to the party.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I was chatting with our friend Daryl Ray,
Hey.
and
Who will be
he
joining us
suggested-
next week, in fact.
Woohoo.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, and he was the one that told me about your podcast and suggested I check in with your program because I was mentioning to him about something. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. I just found out about it yesterday or today. It's an organization called FightTheNewDrug.org. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
What is the new drug? Maybe I like the new drug.
Yeah, what is it?
I'll give
Maybe
you
I
one
want the
guess.
new drug.
I
What's the
think
new drug?
you're both fans of it.
Wait. Is it porn? Please tell me it's porn.
Bingo. Bingo.
Yes!
Ding, 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 ding.
I mean, it's not fentanyl.
I
Clearly.
am an avid user. Have been for a while now. Will never go back.
So let me fill you in, Megan, because I'm just getting up to speed with this group as well. This is a group that started about 9 years ago, who claims to be a non-religious anti-porn group that defines itself as pro-healthy sex and anti-pornography, whose mission it is to raise awareness on its findings and spread an anti-porn message. But it was founded, headed up, and is run by Mormons.
Oh, this is getting
Of course,
better.
they say has nothing to do with it.
Oh, this is getting so much better. Really?
So it's amazing the content they have put up. They have some really, really savvy tech people, social media people, video content creators. They have an amazing YouTube channel with a ton of really highly produced video content. And in
Those guys organize.
Really organized, yeah. And here's the fun part. They have gone on to promote the fact that they say that porn is equal to being addicted to drugs. And they recently, well, not recently, I guess it was 2015, somehow they got the money to put up 100 billboards, I think mostly around the San Francisco Bay Area, with a message that simply says, listen to this, porn kills love, fight for love. Now, shortly after,
Strong
and listen,
disagree.
this is as of 2014, so this was a while ago, but as of 2014, They claim over 1 million followers on Facebook, more than 21,000 on Twitter, and over 60,000 on Instagram. And again, this is 4 years ago, so it could be double that. Who knows? But what happened after they started getting a lot of press, there was a little bit of a backlash. Several therapists, actually 4 certified sex therapists, and I believe they were all in the Salt Lake City area, got together and wrote into the Salt Lake City Tribune, who allowed them to publish an op-ed piece that was titled, "Utah Students Need Real Sex, Not Fight the New Drug." And they expressed concern over the presentation of the material that was being presented by this organization, and get this, in public schools without soliciting approval of the school board or parents.
Well, I'm looking here on their website, and it says that they are not a religious group. Are you saying that they're lying?
Yeah.
So, why would they lie?
The Mormon Church would lie about something. Sorry.
Or just show that like political and media savvy in order to get their message out without it being confronted by people who are anti-Mormon. I mean, that particular organization is excellent about that. If we're going to reference Darrell Ray to borrow his parlance and his verbiage, the Mormon Church is perhaps the very best at being able to do these sort of false flags and have these virus vectors to insert the God virus into things without it necessarily being automatically rejected and fought off against. I think it's a fascinating case study, but you're right. This is a battle that's been going on for years. I mean, you quoted back to 2014. I know that Dr. David Lay has been writing about this since at least 2012, specifically in Salt Lake City. The Myth of Sex Addiction, and perhaps my favorite titled book of all time, Porn for Dicks, A Gentleman's Guide to Ethical Viewing.
Nice.
He confronts these issues really head on. But
no pun intended.
This has been a way of, I guess, rattling the saber for the Mormon Church for a long time. You create this sense of shame by demonizing something that everybody's doing, and by making it shameful, you then give people a need for catharsis. And where they find that catharsis, they find it in the Mormon Church. And so it's a way of building their brand by creating an enemy.
They're basically picking up where the Catholic Church left off.
In a lot of ways, absolutely. It's a somewhat more modern take. It's a little bit more savvy
a little closer
than the modern
home.
Catholic Church is.
Yeah, and of course, when this op-ed came out from these 4 therapists, they then had their op-ed response saying Utah students need real sex and fight the new drug, saying that those therapists had, quote, misrepresented their work. And then after that op-ed piece came out, there was a third op-ed piece that was a follow-up to the fight the new drug piece that was contributed or presented by, I'm looking here, looks to be at least 8 or 9 sex therapists and PhDs, all of whom challenged the messaging that Fight the New Drug was saying, stating that they were really concerned about the, quote, supposed neuroscientific backing of a sex education program that is really not based on anything scientific.
Yeah, that's the reality. Anytime these debates come up in a public square, when there's an op-ed here, and then there's a rebuttal, and then back and forth.
Right.
The science is overwhelming, and so it's a question of, are you interested in science or not? Because there's not a lot of room for a equal back and forth debate if we're actually looking at things like neurology, at outcome research, at basic well-being.
Can't we just look at the data?
Yeah.
Well, what concerns me about what you just said. I don't know if you have checked out their website, and
I'm on their website right now.
He's got it pulled up.
Well,
oh my gosh! You have these facts and stuff, but when I look at these brightly giant, smiling, dead-eyed
show
people in their mid-20s. I mean, really,
flip it over
like,
for the camera?
just no, it'll. But oh my
Well,
goodness!
here's my concern, and
Did you read the pledge?
relates-
Did you read the pledge?
It relates to what was just said about when you look at the science. They have somehow gotten videotaped interviews with at least a half dozen, maybe 8 or 10, quote, scientific therapist experts. I'd have to look at it again to be sure, but these are people who are, quote, experts in their field, and they have been willing to go in front of a camera, basically agreeing with the message behind this organization. And that's what concerns me, because you can make fun of as much as you want of Mormons and what they're coming from, but when they get people like they've gotten to go on camera and be on their website, it can be very confusing for anyone who is trying to find the truth.
Yeah.
And that's what concerns me.
Yeah, I mean, that's long since been a strong Mormon tactic, and also the Church of Scientology in particular, burying good information by just owning the first 35 Google results, by kind of overwhelming everybody with almost this like brute force mass attack of misinformation and bullshit.
Well, I would love to see a public debate to get some of these PhDs who have challenged their thinking and responded to them in these op-ed pieces. I mean, that would be really an interesting dialogue, because this Fight the New Drug organization says they're just trying to create more discussion around the subject. So let's have a discussion. Let's have some public debates and get their, quote, so-called experts, and have them go against some of these real experts, and you know, let the viewers make their own decision.
Yeah, the unfortunate reality is that those types of conversations are few and far between, and they always come across as ineffective when they happen, because they are always being viewed and sponsored and taken part in by folks who have rapidly made their minds up. So while I would love this idea of like a free marketplace of information where people are able to communicate and have these sorts of debates, I'm just not convinced that those arguments are being heard in any kind of objective or reasonable way. I'd like to believe in that world, but I'm not so convinced that we live in it.
I don't know. I feel like we should be taking the shotgun approach, because while there are groups that are continuing to fight to look like they have legitimacy, it can take 100 different methods to get to 100 different people, and so I don't know. Maybe we should push for it. Maybe we should fight for more sex debates. I think if you put the word sex debate, like I'm
our
pretty sure
email
people will
is
show
right
up.
there on the banner.
Sex
debate
at,
us.
Yeah, sex at
Hey.
secular sexuality.
My background is
Sorry,
Madison
sex
Avenue.
at atheist-community.
My background is Madison Avenue advertising. I worked in advertising in New York for 30 years. So I'll give you a little secret. Sex sells.
Yep,
Let's do it.
So
it does.
There's a market for it.
I've been there. I know.
And this would be no different than having a debate between a secular person and a Christian. Let's talk about it. Let's hear what they both have to say, and let the audience decide. So I think that would really be a healthy way to allow people to hear both points of view and come to their own conclusions.
I think we generally agree.
Yeah, and we're happy to bring it on. I mean, we're only half joking. I earnestly would like to have that type of intentional, meaningful, well-organized conversation with anybody who might be in our viewing audience who thinks that we're all full of shit. I mean, obviously we're all homers here, and so if you're coming onto our show, that's a little bit of the context, but we would love to have a polite and civil and meaningful conversation with anybody who feels like the neurology, the outcome data research, like all of those things point towards pornography being harmful. I would say that overwhelmingly that's not the case, but let's have that conversation.
Well, the head guy of the organization is a guy named Clay Olson.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to pick anyone to be a guest on your show and talk about it, I think he would be the guy. And my sense is that he would welcome the exposure.
Mm.
And I think that would be a pretty interesting conversation to listen to if you were to extend an invite.
I agree. Christy, we have a conversation to have.
Yeah, let's see what we can make happen.
Well, thank you so much for your call, John.
Well, thanks for taking me. I think you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Talk to you later. Bye.
This website is my life now.
Oh,
it is
boy.
so good.
That
Oh,
good,
boy.
bad?
It is so good bad. It is so good bad because it's just like we're total rebels and we're not gonna touch ourselves and we're gonna pretend like it's okay, but you can
Yeah,
totally
that's
like
not gonna happen.
wow.
So I have a question for you guys.
Uh-huh.
It's like someone who bought a really expensive car and then they're regretting it, so they're talking about how great it is.
Right.
Go ahead, sorry.
No. I was gonna say, do we want to go into swapping our dating profiles, or do we want to take another call?
You know, we got a couple of great folks that have been waiting
We
on
do.
hold for a while. I think that we can maybe go Patreon only for some of the content that we've been working up.
I'm thinking
Wait.
very much so.
So the dating profiles? I mean, if I can bury it for another year, I guess that's fine.
Oh no, we're still gonna
we're
do
doing it. We're doing it. The question is whether we're doing it for Patreon content or not.
So the question is, do you want to put your dating profile out to as wide an audience as possible, or to a super select group of people who are
Find it in
interested
their
in donating
hearts.
to the show?
Who love us so much that they donate.
It's kind of like
Patreon,
Tinder versus the
which is
League.
Patreon.com/.
You're giving these nice people blue balls. I disagree with this completely. This is immoral.
Then how about this? We take one more call.
Uh-huh.
And then we do dating profiles.
Okay.
And then we will have 2 more calls for Patreon.
All right.
Okay. So, he's got your back.
That's right. That's right.
Man of the people.
All right. So, we have actually another John on the line. Oh, that was the wrong.
And then we hung up on him.
John.
Super apologies,
I am
John. We were very
so
eager to hear from
sorry.
you.
That was more than just a John. That was our John.
That was our John.
John, who's in charge of answering all of the emails that come into the ACA,
yeah.
as well as the person who's in charge of our Reddit, who's been putting together all those awesome AMAs.
No, he's
Sincere,
amazing.
all apologies.
By the way,
So sorry. Call back.
just to throw this out there,
Yeah.
but did you know that John actually has a podcast?
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know this.
It's fucking amazing. It is also about parenting. It's called The Stay-at-Home Atheist.
Really?
Oh, no, did you know that Shelley Siegel actually, like, is, has, like, that's his intro song is Shelley Siegel. It's amazing. I mean, the dude is, he's one of those people that, you meet him and then, like, you is just a best friend. But, sorry, I'm just talking now.
No, that's okay. I think we actually have him back on the line. Let's see if we can switch over to him now. John, are you there?
I am.
I'm so sorry.
It's cool. I'm really quick with the redial.
The drop button is right next to the pickup button. It's like having a fun park and a waste disposal unit right next to each other. It's like a God created it.
I say that all the time. Oh my gosh, I say that all the time. Well, and the beep noise it makes when it puts you on is the exact same damn noise I just discovered as when my call gets disconnected.
Oh, so you start talking to us.
Hello? And I looked down my phone and there's nothing on it. I was like, oh crap.
All right, so take
sorry.
2.
Yes. Hi, how's it going? What do you want to talk about?
Hey, buddy.
Well, hey Eric. I feel like I just talked to you just a couple hours ago, Eric.
Right. Stage
Right? Well, actually, I called because I wasn't going to call today. I always think I should, but I never can think of a topic. But when Dan called in, it really kind of triggered a memory for me. Mm-hmm. And I thought I should call in and talk about it. So I was in the Marines for 2 enlistments. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I was in the Marines, that movie Alexander came out.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oliver Stone, right?
They've done a more action film, right?
Yeah.
So I go. It's packed wall to wall with other Marines. And if you've not seen Alexander, one, it's bad.
Yeah, don't go back for it.
Yeah, I don't recommend it.
Rewatch Troy or something.
Or 300.
Yes, please. They did do something kind of interesting, though. They tried to really lean into the open sexuality from that time period. So there I am, a very young new Marine sitting in a theater with relatively progressive views, and people start yelling homophobic slurs at the screen.
I
Like,
remember
the whole
my
theater
grandfather
is-
actually walked out of that movie. Yeah.
Yep, I believe it. Plenty of people did, and they were screaming at the screen very inappropriate things. And it's kind of an interesting thing because I wouldn't go quite so far as to say sexually repressed, but I did go through a period of like really being afraid to speak my mind about things, and I think that was kind of the start of it.
Sure.
You know, you're young and you join the military, and everybody around you seems to feel one very specific way, and it's damaging. And so I really just kind of wanted to say thank you to you guys and to the ACA for getting this show together so that people can, hopefully young people can listen and not feel the way I was made to feel. And here's the thing, I don't consider I consider myself heterosexual. I'm married to my wife, Stacy, Eric knows. But
who's
when
an
you
amazing
have
human
these
being.
views where you're like, this is all okay, it completely stifles the conversation when something like that happens. So I just want to thank you guys because this is a really awesome thing you're doing. And it can help people tune in and not feel like they can't be who they are or honest about what they believe.
Well, thank you. It's always nice to get feedback like that and knowing, to just reinforce what we already know is we're doing a good thing.
Yeah, in the same way we talked about Bohemian Rhapsody and, whether or not it should turn into an argument or a conversation or whether it's just good to have that out in the ethos, just to have people be able to see a queer person be that and just acknowledge that. I think a big part of what we're looking to do here is just to normalize these very human experiences and recognize that not everybody is going to look like the characters you see on TV, which represents a very small range of human behavior.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I believe 100% that the way to people's hearts is to show them that the others, right, the bad people are really just their friends and families. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to, they say this all the time, it's hard to hate your gay, atheist, insert whatever minority perspective, right? It's hard to hate your gay neighbor when they're really good people. So I think, being out and being proud of who you are, no matter what that perspective is the way to go. And this show is absolutely paving the way for that. And I think it's just spectacular.
It's like Eric has said on Talk Heathen. It's, no, you show by example.
What show?
No.
Don't worry, there are a bunch of assholes on that show. Don't.
Just
Don't
a
waste
couple
your time.
dicks just talking up smoke. Yeah.
I think I might have been on that show a couple of times because I tend to call in things. So.
Well, John, thank you so much.
Yeah, John.
Thank you all. I appreciate you taking my call, and I look forward to these resurfaced dating profiles.
And for the record, I've met you if you don't remember.
You did meet me. I know. My wife and I.
Yes. Last time you guys were in town.
I know. It was awesome.
Yes. Anyway. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. You have a wonderful night, and keep being awesome.
You do the
for
same,
sure.
brother. Okay, so I waited for him to get off the air so that I could say we adore this man.
Is amazing.
I mean, not only is he one of the kindest, most empathetic human beings I've met, but he has this really, really awesome, viewpoint on things. I hope you don't mind that I plugged his show.
Oh.
Because really, honestly, I think
Get the good
there should be
information out there.
crossover.
Yeah.
And the good information is he's a stay-at-home parent. And so that unique view is the stay-at-home atheist. And so if you want to watch it, and I don't listen to very many podcasts. I just don't have time. But I try and always make time for the stay-at-home atheist. So if you haven't checked it out, finish the show and then check out the Stay at Home Atheist. It's absolutely worth your time.
Finish the show, go onto Patreon, become a patron, then go check out John's show.
In that order exclusively.
Also, hit the like and subscribe buttons.
You guys are brutal out here.
Right?
Holy crap.
We don't pull no punches.
All right.
Only.
All right.
Okay, so are we ready to swap profiles?
Well, I don't know. We don't have a whole lot of time.
Maybe we should
No,
just
you know,
wrap up.
I think we need to swap profiles. So who is taking my profile?
I will.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay.
You are taking mine.
And I'm taking yours.
Ooh, that picture is sexy. Black and white.
I know, right?
Respect. It's
Oh
classy.
my gosh, Megan.
This classy motherfucker gets some.
Yeah. Actually, he never did, but
Oh.
that's beside the point.
Okay, and first, before we get into it, we
mean-
have to say what app we're on.
Okay, I'm on.
Oh.
Wow, you've got the
No.
girls on display.
No.
My goodness.
No.
That is like 80% boobs. I mean,
Do you think?
Sex sells. Madison Avenue.
Do you think that
We've
might be why
discussed
I
this.
got like so?
dear mother of.
Hold on. Look, how many right swipes? And I had this profile for like a week. No. It tells you.
Yeah,
at the
no.
upper
It says
right.
873.
Yeah. Do you think it's because the girls?
Yeah, I think it's because
It's
the
a
girls.
factor. It's a factor.
Holy crap. Okay.
Oh,
okay.
look at the shades. Sorry, we are looking
Okay.
at profile pictures.
These are golden.
Okay, so I feel like it's even more of a tease to keep saying these things.
Yes.
So before I do that, I'm going to paint a visual picture for those people who can't see Megan's.
I'm gonna while you're working on that, I'm just gonna disappoint like a large number of the viewing audience by pointing out that Eric identifies both as straight and monogamous. So anybody out there who is thinking they might have had a shot, let's hope for some fluidity.
If only, if only that was a profile that just got resurrected after a very long time. People.
Are you
anyway,
saying things?
Okay,
What?
so the first picture is of Megan in a tank top that goes down to here, but it's sideways. You really need to rotate your pictures, and there's Netflix in the background. The second is her bundled up as if she's making up for the first picture. The third is.
Yes, it is.
I mean, that's from not long ago.
No, that's from Saigon.
Yeah, that was from Saigon. All right. I mean, cool. Whoa.
No.
Okay, yeah, no. Okay, this one is of her in some very, very risque clothing that is, I mean, wow.
Underwear and a plaid shirt.
Underwear and a plaid shirt that's not
like
buttoned.
Buttoned one button.
Yeah, underneath. Okay, this one is you. Okay, at American Atheist Convention, and this is one of you dressed in a nun outfit with a picture of Hugh Laurie.
Yes.
I mean, okay.
Like actual Hugh Laurie?
No. It's a cardboard
like a
cutout
cardboard
of Hugh Laurie.
Okay,
What is
for the record, if you
boob
recall-
percentage in this nun
fuck.
costume?
It was cut out here.
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
So
no,
we're gonna
it was like
assume all
neckline.
like okay.
Yeah, we're gonna assume that like there was nothing below, and so she
All
just had to
right,
cut it out.
get on
so
to the
about me,
profile,
my
whatever.
self summary. I'm an optimistic nerd, a little OCD who loves to laugh. Okay, who doesn't love to laugh?
so
I'm your friend, so I'm
precious.
gonna take you apart a little bit. Everybody
Go
loves to
ahead.
laugh. Okay.
No, I've met
Skepticism?
some really like seriously serious assholes. who
Oh,
don't
do you
know how
remember
to
when
laugh.
we met Dawkins and he said he doesn't do fun?
Yes, no, that's
okay.
what. Yeah,
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Skepticism is a virtue and logic is underrated. A good meal out is my greatest weakness, but I love to cook as well. I try to stay active and go to the gym a few days a week. My friends say I'm very down to earth, dependable, rational, punctual, and that I feel that the Oxford comma is entirely underutilized.
Boo.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you're not wrong.
nerd.
It's just.
Hey, I
it's
got
it's
like
been a while.
800 and something
Yeah,
right swipes in
doing
like a week,
something
so,
right.
Like, you know,
Yeah,
it's
no.
something.
I got you. Current goal to make each day happier and better lived than the day before. Okay, that's nice. Could probably beat you at Super Mario Bros.
Yes, we've tested this.
We have. We need to get you a game made in the last 20 years.
Seriously need to do this.
Yeah.
Because
my golden rule,
I would say that Eric might be able to stand up to you since my real passions lie in literature, philosophy, and gaming in all of its forms. Whether it's board games, card games, tabletop games, or video games. I love them all! Exclamation point in the original.
This is why no one ever right-swiped me.
I have a very active imagination and can get lost in books of any kind, parentheses, but prefer to listen to them. This is just dynamite. This is solid gold here.
Keep going.
Okay, now what's his? Oh, look at you, douche McGee. Hold on.
Yeah.
We've got a lot to go.
My Tinder's real douche.
We've got a lot to go.
Tinder's real
the shades.
douche. Not gonna lie.
Shades. Okay. So, picture-wise.
Also black and white, by the way.
Yes,
of course.
picture
That's how
this.
classy gentlemen do.
I mean, that's what mine is too.
Both guys are in black and white. Christy here is standing against a wall.
It is an art installation at a museum, madam.
Standing against an art installation.
It's a concrete wall.
There's literally,
You can't tell.
But it was a concrete wall in an art installation.
Then show the whole fucking installation.
I mean,
But then you'd be missing out on the art.
so did you get to the museum and you're like, wait, no, this would be too pretentious.
I'm going to take my
subtly
profile pic out
No.
here.
Yeah.
Were you inside
So I can
or
still
outside?
say I was there, but like
This is
you know.
outside.
Okay,
So
good.
the sunglasses, it's not
Because-
like I put sunglasses on inside the art
Okay,
museum.
at least there's
Okay.
that. Because that would have
Zachary
just been
Johnson
too much.
says this is savage.
Yes, but we love it. We're all friends.
Okay.
Okay, so really just need someone to tell me honestly whether or not I can pull off a hat.
What kind of
Wait,
hat?
that's the entire fucking profile?
It's
it a-
Tinder. You're supposed
is
to
it
keep
a
it short
vagina?
and
Oh, that's
sweet.
Tinder.
Oh,
okay.
Is that a ball gag?
Yeah, it looks like it. Is it?
It's a ball gag. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little
I mean-
bit of a dog whistle, you know. I've had a number of women reach out to me and be like, you know, you weren't like kink aggressive, but I noticed that you had a picture. You know, it works. It plays.
That's a billboard.
Right.
That is the most distinctive dog whistle. I don't know if that qualifies.
My real
Yeah.
question is, how many of these pictures am I wearing sunglasses in? I think it's like a
I
50-50
know, right?
ratio.
There's
yeah.
At least, and then there's one where you're like, don't take a picture.
Ooh, no. Actually, you know what he looks like?
What?
He looks like one of the what was that movie with the vampires on the beach? Do you know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
no, I do not.
Yes, you do.
Beach
You know exactly what I'm
feels
talking about.
ill-advised.
Wait, what?
Oh my gosh. Okay. If you know what I'm talking about, it was a 90s movie where there were vampires that lived in a beachside community. You look the Lost Boys. You look like a
I was
Lost
going
boy.
to say, is it Lost
You
Boys?
look like a Lost
Yeah.
boy.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Okay, and then there's one with a poke you up your nose.
Is that a pencil? You're wearing a fedora.
Check out that fedora.
A fedora, but no sunglasses.
It
Hey.
plays. It plays.
I mean, it plays in an I'm an atheist way, and
I somehow don't think this cartoon is a proper representation.
I don't know. I feel like that Bitmoji looks exactly like me. This is, you know.
All right,
this,
sorry, continue.
yeah.
Shut up.
Okay.
guys.
Back to Eric's profile.
No. hold
Hi.
on. Let's talk about
My
Megan
name
some
is
more.
Eric, and I'm pleased you took the time to stop by. I like a lot of the same stuff as everyone else, but let's be real here. Hiking is fun, but talking about it is way overrated.
Yes, it is.
I find that
yes,
delightful.
it is.
That's super charming. You know what? I'm gonna hold on to this, and then when we're done here, you and I are gonna get a beer, and I'm gonna continue to make fun of you. But I don't want to put anybody else through that experience.
Okay.
Other than to say, this is literature.
Do you have
you
any
wanna-
more that you want to dig for? Because I'm gonna.
I was going to say, did you want to dig any more on me? You
Oh,
can.
abso-freaking-lutely.
Of course.
The last show you binged was Star Trek and Stargate for the 1,000th time.
Probably more like 700th, but yeah.
Megan's golden rule: don't be an asshole, and you have to be okay with cussing.
Yeah.
Okay. I see
Fucking
that. I see
damn
that.
straight.
Let's see. What are you looking for?
You goddamn right.
Ooh, you're looking for men within 25 miles, aged 26 to 33. You cradle robber, you. Oh my god!
Now you're gonna give away my age. Oh my
Wow, going young.
To be fair,
going
you
young.
had a
Shut up, shut up,
100-mile radius.
Yeah, I lived in the
that
fuck all
screams
nowhere, dude.
Thirsty, sir.
Oh, dude.
If you're willing to drive 2 hours for some tail.
Oh, dude, you have no idea. And I did nothing but swing up way over my league, and I never. Oh, it was bad. It was bad. The only time I had a chance at matching was if I got drunk and lowered those standards to reality. I mean, it was brutal, man.
I
Fly
think the
with that
message
tequila.
here is that online dating is a mixed bag. I mean, I know for myself, I have met and fallen in love with some really lovely people. But there's also a lot of gameplay and a lot of apparently justifiable homicide involved in the online dating game.
Are you saying you don't want to see my old Tinder? I resurrected it just for you.
Oh, okay. That's very tempting.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Maybe we should leave that part for that.
All right. For Patreon,
Patreon.
only.
Okay, here you
You
go.
get to see his Tinder.
All right.
Okay. So,
Just so you know, immediately after the cameras go off, I'm going to run so she doesn't murder me.
oh, not fast enough. Okay. So, I think that'll do us for the night. Although, if you are still on the line, stay on the line. We are going to pick your call up for Patreon content.
Absolutely. Randy, that means you. We're watching you.
Randy, do not, when you hear the show end, don't hang up. We promise it might be a few seconds because I kind of have to make a pee run, but we will be back and we will pick up your call, I promise. And then we'll look at his Tinder profile.
But
So that I can make more
the rest
fun.
of you folks, we really appreciate everybody who called in.
Yes.
Got a lot of really good calls tonight. And of course, we want to keep the conversation going. Our email's right there on the screen, sex@atheist-community.org.
Yes.
And we appreciate you being here. And we'll be joined next week by Dr. Daryl Ray, our founder and
Yes.
producer emeritus.
We love Daryl.
As we are celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the God virus. So we'd love to hear you stick around for that. In the meantime,
Who
what
wants
else you
to
got?
take us out?
Wait, you missed
What?
the part where I said I like horseback riding?
Oh, man.
Okay.
We're going to have to revisit that.
Well,
I mean, my goodness.
Make
Fish.
sure
Left a
to
lot of
like
gold
and
in there.
subscribe and check us out on
Please.
Patreon because you're going to want to know more about that.
Thank you for having me on. This was way better. I had an
the
absolute
A
previous
lot
blast.
more
episode.
fun than Catholic sex scandals.
Yeah.
It really, really, really is.
All right,
This
Randy,
is like
stay on the line.
This is like an awkward time capsule that we just dug up.
Well,
All right.
whether it is online or in person, whether it's gendered or agendered, whether it is rock and roll or opera, as in every other week, we hope that you would go home, give yourself a big ol' orgasm, or better yet, somebody else.
Hey.